Stop scrolling and look at the weight you're lugging around right now. Is that burden actual strength? Or is it just a habit of misery? You are exhausting yourself for a past that doesn't exist anymore. Watch this, because today is the day you finally decide to let that stone fall. There was once a man who carried a stone everywhere he walked. People saw him and nodded with a strange kind of respect. They thought, now there is a man who has suffered greatly, and he wore that suffering like a metal pin to his chest. He had convinced himself that the weight proved something, that every bleeding grip, every hunched step was evidence of his worth. But one morning, at a crossroads in the dust, his legs gave out. The stone hit the earth with a sound like thunder, and for the first time in years, he heard silence. Sitting beside the road was an old man, still as a stone himself, whose eyes had long stopped seeing the world. The blind sage did not look up. He simply said, "I heard you coming from a mile away. Not your footsteps, your burden." The young man was startled. "You can hear the weight of a stone?" The sage smiled slowly. "I can hear the weight of a choice. I cannot see the size of what you carry, but I can hear how long you have been carrying it. That sound, that grinding, dragging exhaustion, that is not the sound of strength. That is the sound of a man who is afraid to put something down. And here is where I must ask you directly, what is your stone? A career that collapsed 3 years ago? A relationship that ended but whose ghost still sits at your table? A version of yourself you failed to become? You know what it is. The world will praise your endurance. It will call you resilient. It will admire the scars on your hands and never think to ask, who put that stone there in the first place? The sage's wisdom was this: those who cannot see with their eyes are forced to see with something deeper. And what he heard in that young man was not courage. It was rot. The slow, quiet rot that comes from holding guilt, failure, and grief. Endurance is not the same as wisdom. Knowing when to let go, that is the rarest strength of all. The young man looked at the stone. He had carried it so long that releasing it felt terrifying. What would he be without it? What story would he tell about himself? He released it, and the lightness was almost unbearable. This is the phantom limb of the soul. We become so accustomed to our suffering that freedom feels like loss. If you have ever tried to stop obsessing over an old failure and felt suddenly purposeless, you know exactly what this means. Here is what I want you to do today. Name your stone. Give it one sentence. Then ask yourself, if I am still carrying this 1 year from now, what will it have cost me? That is your audit. That is how you begin. The young man took his first steps without the stone. They were strange steps. Lighter, yes, but also uncertain. He had forgotten how to walk for himself rather than for the weight. The sage called out one final time. The man who cannot see navigates by what is true within him. You have eyes. Use them for what is ahead, not for what you left behind. True strength is not the ability to carry more. It is the clarity to know what deserves to be carried at all. Walk lighter. Move with intention. Stop performing suffering for an audience that isn't even watching. Now, drop it in the comments. One word, one sentence. Name your stone. Not for me, for you. Because naming it is the first act of putting it down. I'll read every single one.